Sports Minutes with Ziaul Raushan.
This is Ziaul Raushan from Money FM 89.3 with a special Sports Minutes report. Forgery, fraud, football. 3 words that should never be in the same sentence. Yet here we are. News emerged on Friday, the 26th of September, that FIFA's disciplinary committee has imposed sanctions on the Football Association of Malaysia and 7 national players over breaches of Article 22 of the FIFA Disciplinary Code relating to forgery and falsification of documents. FAM has been fined close to 1.8 million ringgit, while the 7 players face fines and 12-month ban from football activities. FAM insists it acted in good faith and has filed an appeal which is currently ongoing. Now, this isn't just about paperwork, it touches on national pride, governance and the integrity of Malaysian football. To help us unpack this development across the causeway, I'm joined by T. Avineshwaran, sports journalist with The Star Malaysia. Avinesh, thank you for joining us. You doing okay?
I'm okay. Thank you for having me. Just few sleepless nights, but moving forward.
I'm sorry to say there might be a few more sleepless nights ahead, but first, Avi, could you set the scene for us by telling us how everything has unfolded since news emerged on Friday, 26 September?
On Friday, we came about the communications from FIFA with regards to the suspension of the players and also the sanction of Football Association of Malaysia. So when that news came about, we were shocked, asked ourselves, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Even though way before there were suspicions over the eligibility of the 7 players that recently played for the national team. But when asked questions about it, we were told that, there is lineage to their grandparents and so on, but it wasn't done in detail. So once that statement came out, FAM defiantly said that they would appeal, saying that they will be transparent and they will actually fight it because the players are of Malaysian heritage. And the next day, people started asking about, who started this process, how did it go about. As we all are aware, now the national team is being run by a different team, not fully under FAM, but there is another team under FAM that's called the National Team Management Committee, which is led by former Canadian international Rob Trent, assisted by former Malaysian international Stanley Bernard, and then we have Coach Peter Klamovsky. Oh yes, and this project is being overseen by the Crown Prince of Johor. And then on social media, Crown Prince himself said, why suddenly there is a U-turn this decision? Because earlier it was approved. Those are pretty strong statements made by FIFA. Documentation itself is strong, if you ask me. So for the past few days, we have been riddled with questions. When answers came, more questions came about. So it's been a tough few days for Malaysian football, if you ask.
Yeah, it's definitely been a tough few days, especially being stuck in that limbo between what is the truth, what actually transpired, why was there oversight, on whose part was the oversight. So many unanswered questions. We'll dive into that. But Avi, if I can ask you this, ground sentiment. What's the man on the street saying with regards to how this incident has played out? Because based on what I've read, the public sentiment is one of anger, not just disappointment.
It is anger. I'm one of the people down there as well. For example, when this matter came about, the first thing that everyone asked, and I've been asking this for a long time, if they are truly Malaysians, then just make those documents public. You are saying there's a sabotage. Okay, fine, that's your narrative, but make the documents public. Simple as that. Once you do that, then people will do the judgment for themselves. Malaysians are smart enough to know if it's legit or not.
I can sense your frustration when you speak of that. You're speaking to me almost as a fan more than a journalist. Avi, one journalist to another, let me ask you this. You said you asked questions for a long time before Friday, 26 September. What happened when you asked those questions?
When I asked these questions, I can't mention the names. Some have told me that you will get the details as soon as possible. Some have deflected it. There were some who told me, why are you so concerned about their grandparents? What does it have to do with you? They're already playing for the national team. But they are Malaysians at the end of the day. Why can't you see them as one? I was like, yes, I understand that. But we also need to know how this process went about, because this is a matter of transparency and accountability. I'm not now talking as a fan. I'm not talking as a journalist. A journalist's duty is to ask questions, is to get that information right. It's to make sure that it is verified. And we based our stories based on this verified information. But when there are follow-up questions, we hope there are answers. But the answers weren't coming. There's still an air of defiance, if you ask me, in terms of this matter. Like, for example, yesterday FAM issued a statement saying that they will wait for the full judgment from FIFA before appealing the decision, and they did mention that there was a technical error made by a staff. What was the technical error? And the last line from Dr. Nur Azman, he actually mentioned that these are legit Malaysian citizens. Then show the proof.
And you talk about that air of defiance, right? Is that almost making the matter worse in terms of how Malaysians are reacting to it?
It is, because a lot of people are asking, like, how did these guys get their citizenship when a lot of Malaysians are struggling to get citizenship? I'm not talking based on a sports perspective right now. We are also looking at a nation's perspective. Here's the civic consciousness. People are going to ask this kind of questions. People are going to be like, how was this given? Like, for example, the witness statement that was given by the National Registration Department, I'll use the Parafa as an example. Apparently, there was a period of residency and they can speak the national language. These 7 players can't speak bahasa Melayu. If they do, it's selamat datang, terima kasih, anda terbaik. That's it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they can speak fluently, but to date, I've not seen them doing it in public. Number one, residency. Where are these boys staying? I've never seen these boys staying in Malaysia. I take one player, for example, Facundo Gracias. He's an Argentinian. He played in Argentina for so many years, and now he's playing in Spain. During this period, was he staying in Malaysia? This is a question. I'm not making a statement. This is a question. So these questions need answering, and everything has to be in the public sphere because people now have suspicions over what is happening and so on. But we are waiting for what FIFA has to say about this matter. The full detail of why they think whoever that helped this place play for Malaysia, how did they doctor the document? So that is something that we are waiting, and I hope FIFA can actually unveil it to the public so that we can read it, understand it, scrutinize it, and start asking questions to FAM. Right now, it's more like we are asking questions so that you can tell us the answers that can make sure that we know these players are totally Malaysians or not.
And Avi, on the topic of players, the 7 players have now been banned worldwide pending an appeal, of course, right? Do you see them as victims in this flawed process, or do you think they also should share some responsibility, the burden of responsibility?
I feel 50-50 about it because, I feel sad that these players can't be playing football for a year. So yes, they can't play the game that they love. But at the same time, when this whole process was ongoing, I would also like to know what these players were going through, what was told to them, who said that these players are Malaysian. Was it the agents? Was it through scouting, or was it through the players themselves that came forward and said that, hey, my grandfather is a Malaysian, maybe you can test that. And I don't know. I would say this whole situation, the answers are very little. The question marks are insane.
And Avi, you talk about ramifications, repercussions, right? It's not just ring-fenced to the Malaysian national team. The domestic football league could be affected as well, because some of the players that we speak about play for the Crown Prince's team, which is JDT, and then they take part in continental competitions as well, ACL, Shopee Cup, so on and so forth, right? How do you see this playing out? I take your point completely, more questions than answers at this point, but the ramifications, the domino effect is going to be quite crazy.
It is going to be quite crazy. Like I said, we have to wait for FIFA's verdict. And after the appeal, what happens? Or even after the appeal, is FAM going to go to CAS, the Court of Arbitration? It's a lot of what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? This could be a Netflix documentary, if you ask me.
And I think a lot of people will pay good money to see how this season ends, right? Avi, I want to ask you this. Singapore and Malaysia, we are joined by the hip. We are abang adik, right? So it's not about laughing at the situation or mocking the current predicament. I want to ask you, naturalization is not something unique to Malaysia. Singapore have done it as well. Indonesia most recently have done it as well. But what lessons do you think the region can learn from how this whole thing is playing out?
Do things according to the book. Simple as that. If you do things according to the book, no issues, no problem. Like in Singapore, the players played in the Singapore League for 5 years. Then they got their citizenship. Same with Kyoga Nakamura, and I'm sure there are a few other players that are being considered right now. Perry Young is one of them. I hope he does get his citizenship because he has got lineage, right? So if things are done properly, we understand that even Malaysia also, Darren Lock, Brendan Gunn, Lavia Corbino, these players had Malaysian heritage. Their parents are Malaysians. It was very clear. We had no issues with that. These 7 players, until now, we do not know what's lineage like. Like, for example, Hector Abel went public about it, saying that his grandfather is from Malacca. But now, after seeing this situation, I'm like, can we trust him or not? You have question marks, you have question marks. And to add to the previous question that you asked me about, what do you feel about this place? I don't feel sad for the 7. If it comes out that we failed the appeal and, we were in the wrong, the future of our local players, they won't be playing international games after this. Timor-Leste is a president. They didn't play in the 2023 Asian Cup and the next Asian Cup as well, the qualifiers and so on. So if that happens to Malaysia, I fear for the young boys. Where are they going to go to? The league will go on. I understand that. But international exposure, we might lose out on that. And I hope that does not happen. If that happens, it's a black period for Malaysian football. It's sad because I've been following the Malaysian game since 1997. I've been supporting my boyhood club Perak since then. And I've been watching all the league games. That's how my interest in writing started actually, because of football. So when these things happen, there are lots of, successful things that have happened during my lifetime, winning the 2010 AFF Cup, the SEA Games gold medals. But these black periods could define my understanding of Malaysian football during my lifetime. It's sad.
Yeah, it's very worrying to hear that because it's not just the football fraternity that's been affected. The reputation has been shaken. And now accountability, it's like trust, right? If it's broken, it's very hard to repair. And that's my final question to you. When we talk about trust and accountability, as a Malaysian football observer and a fan, right? How do you expect the association to resurrect that now?
If this decision is true, if we fail the appeal process, then I believe kids must vote. Number 2, if people are saying that what I'm saying is negative, I'm sorry to say this is a reset for us. We have done it in 1994, and if this happens, then we have to do it again. I believe in Malaysians coming back from adversity. If you ask me right now, I'm looking at the grassroots level. I live in a place called Punchala, and every day in the evening, I see kids playing football. We have to fortify our grassroots. This is one way for us to be stronger if any ramifications happen. I mean, if the appeal goes well, then yes, we will move forward. But I think the demand for accountability and transparency has to be louder. We need things to be done properly. We need people to be accountable over the actions that have been done, especially with this matter. But if that does not happen, then I think we have to start from the bottom again. Sad that we might miss out on several international windows if it happens, because the precedent that is being used right now is Timor-Leste. And Timor-Leste had 9 players, 9 Brazilians that played for them. So they had to miss out, I think, 2 Asian Cup cycles. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it was 34 or 36 games that they played, but null and void. We have to start from bottom again, and FM needs to start thinking deeply over what happened. And it's time to start detailing the processes well, making it accountable. And we live in the era of social media. We live in an era where people can find information easily. And even when a document comes out on FIFA or AFC, people are able to decipher it very well. So people these days are smart. And I think associations need to realize that people will ask the tough questions and you have to be ready to answer them.
Absolutely. Avi, it's been a difficult few days in this developing story. You're going to continue to be on the pulse of the story. So is Sports Minutes. Thank you so much for spending time speaking to us, and all the best uncovering the truth in amidst all of this.
Thank you for having me.
Sports Minutes on Money FM 89.3.